Thank you for joining us on WQPH 89.3 FM Shirley, Fitchburg. Queen of Perpetual Help, and welcome to another edition of Local Matters. October is Respect Life Month. Now, on this week's broadcast, we continue with the Deacons Roundtable, and that is from our sister station, WSFI. WSFICatholicRadio.org. A special thank you to Angela Tomlinson for producing this broadcast. Following the conclusion of the Deacons Roundtable, Bishop Athanasius Schneider gave an important sermon in Nashua, New Hampshire at St. Stanislaus Church. And he also had a book signing. The book is called Credo, Compendium of the Catholic Faith, and it's a study journal. And it's available at sophiainstitute.com. If you'd like a copy of the book, you can enter a drawing to win the book with a donation with the book on request. You can make a donation at WQPHradio.org. Get ready for this fascinating conclusion of the Deacons Roundtable.
We are back on the Deacons Roundtable on WSFI FM 88.5 until we go national. And I'm here with Deacon DeKudzik and with...
My agent will be on, is working the deal.
We'll double your pay. And we're here with Deacon Dave Egan from the Village of Victory Lakes. And, Dave, you're at a senior community, and we all have to worry about life issues as we drive home, but they're certainly present in the Victory Lakes type of situation as assisted living and a nursing home type of situation. How does that play into your ministry?
Great question. I'm sort of shocked at that sort of issue.
Are you offended?
No, not yet.
Okay.
I'm working on it.
I don't think that has really... I've not really seen that more of an issue, and it's more, at least in that community, and actually the community that my mother's in, which is a similar type situation, is a very different approach to death and respecting life as you have it. And one of the things that, something that you would not put up with when, you're 20, 30, 40, sure, 50, but you will put up with when you're 70, 80, 90. And there's sort of in general looking at life as a gift that comes each day. So I mean, I don't know if that's answering the question that
certainly. Well, when I think of Victory Lakes, of course, we both know my mother was up there. Thomas Earnhardt, a very famous bioethicist, talked about the autonomy is the right to be left alone. And I certainly know that in my own mother's life. The nurses at Victory Lakes were great about making sure my mother had autonomy in making decisions. Although there's a point where autonomy stops. And that's one of the aspects of what we're talking about, respect life. It's not just what I want. Life is more to that. Your life what you want cannot infringe on the dignity of another life, because that life is equal in the eyes of God.
Autonomy can also be delusional.
Certainly.
And I think of, we think of our grandmothers who could not do enough for us. And stepping into the issue of euthanasia is that a person such as, my grandmother, our grandmothers, our mothers, who faced with the prospect of checking out, of assisted suicide, of cooperating with their own demise in the name of autonomy, I think, can be an illusory autonomy, because that notion of generosity and giving, they will falsely pursue by getting out of the way. I don't want to be a burden to the children. I don't want to hurt. I don't want to spend all their money. So their whole lives have been one of self-donation, and they're prepared in the name of autonomy, perhaps, or a false sense of charity. They will remove themselves from the scene. And all you have to do is suggest it and give them that option, and they'll take it. And it's a sad thing, I think.
Well, I'd like to draw just a point so that it's not misunderstood. You're talking about actively taking a life via euthanasia versus allowing the dying process to continue.
Oh, absolutely.
No, I just want...
Yeah, no. Clearly, yeah. No, we're against mere biologism, as the Illinois bishops mentioned in one of their letters a number of years ago.
And I think why this is so important is because when there's just autonomy that we worry about, or where do we draw the line? We have, what about children with disabilities? We have the capability now scientifically to diagnose in the womb a likelihood of a disability, Down syndrome and things like that. And just this week in the state of Indiana, they have a law saying you can't do an abortion to eliminate a child with Down syndrome. And there's people currently challenging that law. I don't know the particulars of all the case, but that's ultimately where the lack of respect goes, is what happens, who protects the voiceless, who protects the people that aren't blonde hair, blue-eyed chemistry majors, and and who has the right to infringe upon their dignity, which certainly if you're taking their life, you're infringing upon their dignity. And we're beginning to see these issues play out in our society. You can say, if you're going to attack someone with Down syndrome, maybe you should attack someone who is, I want a male child instead of a female child. I want a child that could grow up to be a lawyer versus a child that's going to grow up to,
be a chemistry major.
Get my score on the ACT, yes. And we think about, that's not going to happen. Reality is, in 2018, that's beginning to happen. And I think that's why we need to have these conversations and understanding that, no, we're attacking. We're trying to defend the defendless. We're all for autonomy. The church is for autonomy. The church is for conscious rights. But there are limits. But
there's autonomy to make the decision. But is it a rightly formed conscience that you have? And as Richard said, both of you actually said, doing the homework to get to that stage. It's not going to be the 30-second soundbite from the news. It's taking the issue seriously, doing all the readings, the understanding, the history of it, and then reflecting on it of what is that saying to you, and stopping and listening to what God's trying to tell you at the same time before you come to that evaluative knowledge. And so, as far as the issue with the Down syndrome, that I have not heard, but I would just throw that under the issues of abortion, where it shouldn't take place in the first place. And I think if you ask most of the families that have a child with Down syndrome, there are challenges to it, but inevitably one thing that I have heard from absolutely every single family that's had a special needs child like that is that one of the greatest gifts that child brought them was they taught them what love truly was.
Yeah, but you're projecting that on me. I don't want the added expense of that handicapped child. I don't want to lose. I don't want it to take away from the freedoms that my other children have, and I have to spend all this focusing on one child. What about that?
What's the freedom of you having a heart attack and dying, and your family's left without you? That's just an event that could take place. And so, I would actually say that is a gift that God gave you, and now how are you going to use that gift? You may not see it as a gift at the moment.
But is that the argument the church is using, or is it?
No,
the argument is that person has the right to survive whether you want them there or not?
Oh, it's a gift from God, and you have to accept that gift. And I think that's the church's approach. And the church can also help with supporting, giving the emotional support and other aspects, which it does in a number of family situations. But for you to actually say that, it's okay to abort someone because they're not perfect in utero, without question, is wrong.
Well, St. Thomas Aquinas said that even if my informed conscience is formed improperly, that by the risk of excommunication, I should still follow that conscience.
Yeah, but
Yeah, there's an asterisk that goes.
I was waiting for the lawyer on that.
No, the ethicist, there's an asterisk that should go there.
Two things I want to just toss out. The notion of autonomy. Yes, it's real. Yes, it's part of it's a dimension of human dignity, but it's also, I think, a rather slender reed on which to build an ethic. We think of, say, in the instance of sexual ethics. The buzzword today is if it's consensual and safe, our young people are told, then it's okay, and that's autonomy gone run amok. So autonomy all by itself, it ain't nothing.
I think it gets to you end up being relative. If I want to do it, it's okay.
Yeah, right. But this also ties into this notion of conscience, in that conscience, in my understanding, is not my solitary pursuit, sitting on top of a mountain of self-determination, self-appropriation of an understanding of the universe. The conscience, rightly formed, requires a community. We are social animals. We are, the social being. We are the political animal. So we need each other in order to rightly form this conscience, so that we can see, for instance, the value of the love freely given by a child with Down syndrome. That's a nuance of conscience that I would never get all by myself.
And with that, in that community, I would add an addendum to it that the historical community as well.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's not just with the current day communities, but it's a historical community in writings and wisdom.
Absolutely. Yeah. John Henry Newman had this notion about the deceased have a place at the table as we decide what to do. Absolutely. Is that it's not the latest, best, coolest thinking that informed this conversation. We do need to go from whence we've come. Yeah.
Well, isn't it also that the choice to take your life, we don't believe is an autonomous choice, because our naturally programmed to survive.
Mm-hmm.
I just had a 15-year-old dog that would battle every day to get up and out of the house and battle to survive. I think it was a beautiful experience to see that will to live. Because I think one of the things we talk about, yes, we want to give autonomy, but at there's some point, such as suicide, that's not an autonomous choice, and that's why many of the teachings of the historical interpretations of suicide has changed throughout the bury them in the side or the unmowed garden versus today's aspect. But when my mother was at Victory Lakes, I had the challenge where I thought she was not really in control of her autonomous nature for the sin she was making. The staff was saying your mother has the right to make these choices, and I wasn't going to go get a lawyer and do all that aspect for it. But I think when we think about grandma wants to do it, it's her choice, let grandma do what she wants to do, that's not what we're saying autonomy is.
No.
But I think society is saying that's what autonomy is, as you were bringing up relativism and things before.
Right, again, let me grab the buzzword and solve my life's problems with autonomy, and I'm done with the analysis. It's so wrong to go that route.
Well, it's interesting. When you say I want to make my choice, I have a daughter who just graduated from high school, and she's on to college. And I had to hear how often she was 18, I'm an adult, I'm going to make my choices. And one of the challenges I have is that, yes, she might be in her 18th trip around the sun, but she doesn't make adult choices, and she's not ready to.
Do you not also have the mortgage rule in your house? If you ain't paying the mortgage, you got no rights.
Yeah, but when I send her to college, she has to grant me the rights for seeing report cards and everything else, but she doesn't have to grant me the right for school to send the bill to me. But that's,
right.
But still, we live in a society where we're saying that we're telling our young people, you are autonomous, you are an adult, you are making these decisions, you're in high school, it's like, my God, the science says you don't have a brain that's developed till you're 25 for women and 65 for guys, probably, at least my friends and me.
Yeah. Don't they remember how dumb I was when I was 18? I mean,
well, one of the things that's an interesting point that you brought up, I mean, this is an absolute complete aside, but as society, we tell these kids to hurry up and grow up. I mean, start making some of these decisions now, and and pushing them to be an adult. So when I was 18 a zillion years ago, I had trouble finding my car keys.
But isn't society telling us, hurry up and make those decisions that we want you to make? So there really isn't an autonomous choice for these kids, because we're setting them up to be in a non-autonomous decision.
Oh, yeah, no, I think we're asking them to be autonomous, which I think is actually good, but we're not giving them in whole society, the ability to make a well-informed autonomous decision. That's the part that everyone is missing out on. Nobody wants to do the effort to actually go in and truly learn all the issues.
That's true.
And
but
I think
at a certain age, give me a break. You can have yes, I poke you with a needle, it hurts, but you're not going to appreciate a mortgage at age 18 or 16 or those. I mean, there are certain things in life that certainly you can comment on, but you don't have the life experience to make informed decisions for doing that. But we are now in an environment where society is saying, look, it's more important for them to make a decision whether it's informed or not, and that's I see that as a significant danger.
But I think you can loop this back to the entirety of the respect life issue, which is where we started this an hour ago, and that is we're talking about human flourishing. We're talking about the sacredness of life. We want young people to be able to make choices, and so we bit by bit encourage them along the way. And the mistake we make is when we remove the any sort of break on that decision making and expect a fully informed decision from somebody who doesn't have the tools to make it. But yes, it's a process of trial and error sometimes. It's a process of full development. Just like respect life, it's a process of coming to appreciate how interconnected all of the beauties of the human person are.
And I would actually extend it even further that, we were picking on these 18-year-olds. Right. I think that's all of society.
Yeah.
It's just you watch, sort of the evening news per se, and if it goes over 30 seconds, it's just like, oh, next.
Right, yeah. The Twitter size of attention span, that's 144 characters.
140, well, now it's doubled, hasn't it?
I'm sorry, what were you saying?
Look, a squirrel.
Well, this has been the Deacons Roundtable. We are talking about respect life, and we ask you to pray upon these issues, not only for yourself and your family, for society as all, and think about the gift of life that God has given us, and allow it to flourish wherever it should be, not only in our life and our families, but throughout this world. Deacon Richard, would you like to end us with a quick prayer?
Let us pray. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen. Go in peace to love and serve the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
And now, Bishop Athanasius Schneider.
On a solid rock, heaven and earth will pass away, but you can never pass away. From the beginning, the whole world opposed you, but you mightily triumphed over everything. This is the victory that overcomes the world. Our faith. It has subjected powerful kings to the rule of Christ. It has bound nations to his service. What made the holy apostles and martyrs endure fierce agony and bitter torments except faith, especially faith in the resurrection. What is there today makes true followers of Christ cast luxuries aside, leave pleasures behind, and endure difficulties and pain. True Catholics are in our day a minority, not only within the civil society, but even within the church of our day. However, this fact should not discourage us. In order to remain always faithful to the entire Catholic faith and to propagate and defend it, a Catholic will always be a target of attacks. What should true Catholics do if they are confused or persecuted even within the Church? Saint Vincent of Lerins, a church father from the 5th century, gave us useful guidelines in this regard when he said, if some new contagion seeks to infect not only an insignificant part of the church, but the whole, then it will be up to you to cling to tradition. You must consult and interrogate the opinions of the tradition, of the ancients, of those, that is to say, that although they lived in different times and places, but continued in the communion and faith of the only Catholic Church, they must be recognized and approved authorities. And in any case, it must make sure that it has been sustained, written, taught, not only by one or two of these authorities, but by all equally, with a consent frequently persistent. So St. Vincent of Lerins. What represents the first bulwark against the current great apostasy is the Catholic family. The two most efficient weapons against the modern apostasy outside and inside the life of the Church are the purity of the Catholic faith and the purity of a chaste life. True Catholic families, and desirably large families, will strengthen the Church of our day with the beauty of the Catholic faith. From that faith will come out new Catholic fathers and mothers, and from them there will come out a new generation of zealous priests and intrepid bishops who will be ready to give their life for Christ and for the salvation of the souls. In our day, there is also persecution within the Church of those Catholics who remain faithful to the faith and liturgy of all times, of all saints. Persecution purifies the Church. Even if millions will fall away, it is not a loss, but a cleansing. We possess a moving example of unshakable fidelity to the Catholic faith from a young martyr of our time, Saint José Luis Sanchez del Rio. He died for the faith, being a 14-year-old boy during the persecution of the Church in Mexico in 1928. In his last letter to his mother, he left us the following luminous witness of what does mean being a true Catholic. He wrote, "My dear mother, I was taken prisoner in combat on this day. I think that right now I'm going to die. But nothing matters, mother. Resign yourself to the will of God. I die very happy because I die on the line next to our God. Don't worry about my death. What mortifies me is this. First, tell my other two brothers to follow the example of their younger brother. And you, mother, do the will of God. So the words of this young martyr, José Luis Sanchez de Rio. Let us ask the Lord to increase in us the gift of the Catholic faith. By God's grace, may it be strengthened and made unshakable in us. May we grow daily in the understanding of the beauty and profoundness of the Catholic faith, that we might be ready to sacrifice all things rather than compromise on or betray this faith. Let us ask the Lord the grace to be resolved to undergo 1,000 deaths for even one article of the Creed. Let us, though sinners, offer to God acts of humble reparation for all the sins committed against the Catholic faith by the laity and clergy in our day. May the Lord grant us the grace to see all the events of our life and the immense trials of Holy Mother Church. She is now the God in the supernatural light of faith. May we believe that God will cause to arise from today's vast spiritual desert a renewed flourishing of faith that will adorn the garden of the church with new works of faith and give rise to a new age of faith. I believe in the one holy, Catholic, and indestructible Church. Amen. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Thank you for listening to another edition of WQPH's Local Matters. We hope you enjoyed the broadcast and hope you have a blessed week.